goes over everything. So if you miss this or you have to step away for a minute, you'll be able to catch up. I'm going to plug in and share my screen, and then we'll get going. I'm Andy Shepard-Fills. I'm a compliance agent with the CCB, and this is Liz Love. Liz is our data manager here at the Cannabis Control Board. So thanks for joining us today. So we're going to just start. So Patrick mentioned that over the last couple of weeks, the board has sent out some updated guidance documents. And so I just want to show you where those are all located. So if you're on the CCB website, just going down to this guidance document or guidance library page, that'll bring you to all of our guidance documents. There's a whole lot of good information here. This section today is under this inventory tracking guidance. There's a new guidance document that goes through all the steps that we'll be covering today and the summary of some changes. So these are some changes that we've kind of are going into effect now. And so a lot of this is related to the transfer and acquisition forms. As you've all probably seen, process slots are now required in the transfers. And that really helps tie up our inventory tracking system, making sure that we can track those process slots from cultivators all the way down to when they are received by the retailers. So that's really a great change and update, and we're moving in the right direction. And today we'll also go over some of the functionality of the manufacturing forms, and just a quick, we'll jump into our cultivator form really briefly to do a quick review of that while we have everybody gathered together. So we'll do that now. I'm going to jump into the portal. So right now I'm logged in with one of our CCB test accounts. And this account has a cultivation license and a manufacturing license. So as a cultivator, I can go to my existing inventory tracking reports and look at all of the cultivation reports or transfer reports that I've done. And they're all listed here. The search functionality works really well, but you do need to make sure that you have the full inventory tracking ID for that to work. And I've gone ahead and copied and pasted the inventory tracking report that I want to search for. So just making sure that you do have that IT dash in front of the number to do the search. So I can search and I'll find that record, that cultivation report record. And what I want to do is I'm just going to go into that to view it. So there's a view and correct. If you hit this view option, it's going to get into the report, but it won't let you make any adjustments. So I can see, as a cultivator, I've named this Harvest Lot 88, the information about the planting and the wet weights. So that's all information that the cultivators will put in as inputs. And just to know the data that we have in here, these are test accounts. It's the math is not going to be perfect. So just for demonstration purposes only, but you'll have your own numbers that will be correct for inputs. And what I really want to do is get to the report that shows our process slots. We mentioned before that process slots are required for transfer and acquisition reporting to go through. So these are 3 process lots that I've created from that Harvest Lot 88. So you can see the naming conventions for this. It's the HL and the CLTV 036X. That's my license number with the HL added at the beginning. And the 88, that designates the harvest lot. So my harvest lot for this is the HL-CLTV 0366-88. And all the numbers after that are related to the process lot. So for this harvest lot, I've broken it down into 3 process lots. I have one that I've designated as waste. You can see I've named it with a W here. So I have a date and the W. This next one is designated as flower. And the third one is designated as biomass. And when I open those up, you'll see that the weights that are populated will show up. So I'm going to go into these, and you'll see that we have different weights for flower and biomass. here. So we're going to be using these process slots to transfer to different licenses. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to go into create new inventory tracking reports. And this is, you should be familiar with that, doing your cultivation reports, and if you've done transfer and acquisition reports in the past. But these have all of our different kind of form landing pages. So for this case, I'm going to transfer plant material and particularly flower to a retail license. And so Liz is going to act as our retail license. So once we do the transfer, we're going to switch and Liz is going to take control and we'll demonstrate the acquisition. So first, I'm going to select transfer reporting. And this is where I select my license. So I'm going to select my cultivation license. And you should only have your licenses available to pick there and just verify that the information is correct. And this is a test account, so and we know this is correct. I hit next, and now I'm going to select the license of the receiving license or the receiving party. And in this case, Liz's retail license is 0086. So I'm just going to type in 0086. I got an extra.
Andy, we got a good question from the chat. This is a good point to interject here. Are you standardizing lot and batch numbers?
No. So for cultivation process lots, it's really, you have your own naming convention that can be used. The beginning part of that harvest lot and process lot is standardized. The system will create it, but everything after the license number, it's the system allows for different conventions to be used based on your own operations. We have very small cultivators that may just have one harvest slot a year, and they're able to create their own kind of simplified naming convention. And we have some of the larger tiers that may have multiple harvest lots going at the same time, and they may require a more complex process lot, but the system would be able to accommodate for kind of any of those systems in between. So I typed in 0086, and the system is finding all of the licenses that end with that. And I know that I want to choose this retailer one. And just one thing that I'm doing here that is not super intuitive, but I've entered in 0086. I want to make sure what I'm doing, I'm clicking into that field, and that's what's kind of prompting that search to initiate. So I just click in the field and I can select the retail license. And this is one of the most important steps, is just verifying that the license that you've entered in matches the actual business that you are transferring product to. We receive occasionally transfer reports that the wrong license number was entered in. And so in that case, we have to go in and make corrections in the back end, which is okay, but to try to eliminate that, just take the extra couple seconds, review the name of the license here, review the license number, make sure those are correct, and so that you know that, okay, I know I'm sending this material to test retailer 86. So I hit next once I've done that. And so for this transfer, we're going to do the transfer of a registered product and an unregistered product. So the first one we'll do is we're going to send unregistered flower, which would be bulk flower. So I select no, and then the next page is asking me what type of unregistered or non-registered product this is. And this is flower, so we're sending bulk flower, and I'm a cultivator sending to a retailer for bulk sale. So now you'll see that process lot field has shown up. And what I'm going to do is I want to select the flower process lot that we saw back in that cultivation report. And I know that was, it ended in 4-7-F. Right field 4-7-F. And you'll see that shows up there. Again, just clicking in that field will help initiate that search if that's not working. So I have my process lot, and this is one of the changes that we outlined. So this field is required to complete the transfer form, in which that wasn't required before. So we have the type of product, it's flower. We have the process lot, the product name. We're just going to do this. We're just going to call it test CCB strain. And this is where, for bulk flour, you would want to put in this strain of that bulk material in there. And the data transfer, we'll just pick today. Total weight. We're going to say we did 500 grams. And the cost per gram. Again, these are just test values, but we'll put in $6. And I'm going to hit submit. And now you'll see that I have in this table, we have it's an unregistered product. And then we have the product name. I can edit that if we need to. So if there's a different weight value, it's like, okay, no, it was actually 400 grams. And then the cost was $6.50. So you can make those changes if you need to. And then now I want to add another product. So every product in your transfer, and really every product in your manifest, you're going to add to this table. And all you have to do is hit the add button. And again, it's going to ask that same question: is it registered? And for this case, we're going to say yes, it is registered. And this is a registered pre-packed eighth. And I know that the product registration number is 4916. So I type in 4916. And for this particular search, you'll see that I don't have to enter in the P. I don't have to actually enter in the whole number. But I know it ends in 4916. It found it. I select that product. And now it shows me the particular details of that product as it appears in product registration. So we have our product registration number, and the system knows that it's called CCB Pre-Pack A test strain, and the product type is flour. So whatever product registration number you put in here, the system will pull from that product registration database the product name and the product type. So you won't be able to change that here. You can change the product registration number if you by chance selected the wrong one. Again, we have our process lot field here, and we just want to find the right process lot. And this is the same process lot that we used before. So I'm just going to type in 4-7-F. I find that, select it.
Andy, here's a good point that I'll throw in one of these questions from the chat. What happens if the process lot doesn't come up in the search? So you start to enter and you're not seeing it.
Yeah, if it doesn't show up, then it's likely it hasn't been reported in your cultivation reporting. So coming from a cultivator to a retailer, if you are the originating license, the process lot has not been created in the system if you're unable to find it. And so you would go back to your harvest lot reporting and make sure you have the correct process lot information entered in. So the data transfer, again, we'll select today's date, cost per gram, colors, and we have the product name and the product type already pre-filled. So this is a little bit different from sending the unregistered. Now it's looking for the number of packages and the weight per package. So for unregistered product, we saw it was just the total weight. For registered flour, particularly in this case, we're going to do number of packages, and we'll do 40, and the weight per package. And so these are just eighths, so they're 3.5 gram packages. Then again, we have the attestation button that you'll see. You want to make sure you click that to proceed. So we have the product registration number, the process lot, the date, the cost per gram of the product. These, the name and the type, those come in based on the product registration number. And we're just putting the number of packages and the weight. So I hit submit. And now we see the two products in this report, and you'll just put in as many products that are in the report. So if you're a cultivator and you have 5 or 6 different products or more, you'll add each of those as a separate line. And even if it's if you're transferring like we've done here, unregistered versus registered versions of the flower, you want to do those as two separate line items. So for this demonstration, we're just doing these two. So I'm going to hit save and next. And this is where we would upload a copy of the manifest. So we're going to just skip that for today, but this you can navigate or you can drag and drop those files in here and hit submit. So now you see I've created this inventory tracking record. I can always view it if I wanted to. So I'll hit view. I can see the products. I can go through the form, but I can't make any changes. If I do need to make an edit, I would hit the correct button here. And here, the system will allow me to edit the entry if I needed to, or delete it and add something different. We don't have any edits to make, so we're just going to click through and submit. The inventory tracking number stays the same when you hit submit. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to just give control over to Liz, and she's going to show us the email that's generated. So this is the email that the receiving party, the retail license, is going to get once the sending party gets the transfer. So you'll see in the email, we have the license of the cultivator and the product information. So we have two products in that table. One has a product registration ID and one doesn't. So we have one registered product and one unregistered product. We have the product name there. And we have the inventory tracking ID. So it's very important to make note of that inventory tracking ID and copy it. It's easy to just copy that from the email so that you can enter it into your report. And I'll let Liz take over from now so she can demonstrate the acquisition process.
Okay, here I am in the portal, and I'm going to click acquisition reporting. And when I click in this box, it's going to look for any relevant transfer IDs that are related to my account where I can paste the number in. What happened, Andy? I can't see it, but I think I have space. That's the correct one, right? 962?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and again, as Andy said, let's verify the sender and the receiver license information so we're sure it's correct. Once I've done that, I can click next. And now we're going to wait for the table to populate. The acquisition form is going to get pre-populated with the values that were entered in the transfer, but you need to verify them. And at this point, you're allowed to change them if you need to. Like if Andy didn't send me this number of packages, I could change it. But I'm going to leave it as it is, and I'm just going to verify that it's right, attest, and click. So I verified the first one, and I also verify the second one. I want to make sure that I'm not receiving something that I didn't get the same number of packages. My costs are correct. Everything's good. Hit attest. And I submit. Ooh, we got a little error message. I can't see it. It's too far away from me.
Let's close it out.
Just going to close it out. So let's show this as an example of the system might kick you an error and it might just work. So let's see if it does.
Yeah.
I've got an option to add information. I'm going to skip over it because I don't need to, but you do. And then I click next. And I get a success banner. And I can look and I can see that the process lots, manufacturing lots I acquired are listed. Okay. Andy.
Do you guys mind if I do a round of questions here from the chat?
Yep.
All right, let's and just for the folks putting questions in the chat, we're not ignoring you. We're going to queue up and do a few different rounds of Q&A. So thanks for the questions. Some of these I'm not sure we can answer today. I'll let you know if we need to follow offline. So for the first question I see that we haven't gotten to is, well, the question about consignment transfer. There's active rulemaking about consignments right now that hasn't been completed. So we should hold off until the board is done because there could be potential changes in the new round of rules regarding consignment, and the rulemaking isn't finished yet. So I encourage it's just first name here. So if you wouldn't mind sending in the question to ccb.info, we can follow up offline and give you a little bit more of a detailed response there. The next one, someone asking that they were told by compliance that they should register the same strain from 2 different harvest lots under the same product registration number. That means they will have 2 process lots for that product registration, but I can only choose one. How should they handle this?
No, so you have the registration for that one strain of flower. Say we'll use Andy's Dandy's flower, right? So I register that, and then when I do a transfer, I'm going to report the process lot of that particular process lot that I'm sending. Though you may have multiple process lots or I may have multiple process lots of that one strain over the course of that product registration period, that 1 year. You're going to select the process lot of the flower that you're transferring over. If you're transferring flower from multiple process lots, you would have to do that under 2 separate line items. You just do 2 different, the weights from each of those process lots. So I think good best practice would be to, transfer flower from the same process lots. But if there's a chance that you're transferring the same strain from multiple process lots, you'll want to do those as 2 different lines on that transfer report.
Okay, yeah, there are 2 questions there about multiple process lots. I think address those. Is it supposed to be wholesale cost or retail cost?
Is the cost of that for the retailers purchasing the flower from you? So it'd be the wholesale cost.
Okay.
The retail costs, those are reported by retailers in their reporting.
Next one, does it let you create an IT number without the product? We've had several instances where we receive an IT, but either no process lot found or no products appear.
That's likely like in the past before a lot of these updates went through. If that's the case now, I would reach out so we can see what that issue is. But if it was prior to the end of March, then that's one of the downfalls of not having those fields be required.
Question here, how do we assign lot codes for our hemp? It could be the same.
If it's hemp that's grown under your cultivation license, then under your allowed canopy, you would just create harvest lots for those plants. I know there's some updates to hemp and hemp products in the updated rules, so we'll need to accommodate for those. But for now, it would be having the hemp harvest included in your cultivation reporting.
All right, a few more here and then we can resume. Thanks for doing this. Why is cost a required field? Why is it cost per gram, not cost per product when they ask for weight per container?
Cost per gram. So it just have that standardized per gram. So it's we have container, like we have multiple sizes of flour, whether it's pre-roll, eighth jars, quarter ounce jars, all under the same product registration number. So we just want to make sure that we have the detailed per gram cost for that particular transfer.
Okay. Let's see. Sue is saying she's unable to log transfers from their manufacturing to their dispensary. We could maybe follow up offline if that's yeah. The email that's sent, could the email also have a field for harvest lot / processing number? I think that's kind of a feature request.
Yeah.
It looks like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can put it on the list.
Okay, sorry, I'm reading these on the fly here. When I am transferring manufactured products, only one menu comes up at the process lot, and it's not correct for any of my products. I'm unable to add a process lot. It sounds like maybe a bug.
Yeah, we can explain how to approach that on an individual basis.
What should the retailer be submitting for the document at the end? The
Yeah, so that's a copy of their manifest.
manifest, yeah.
Yeah, so you have both parties submitting a copy of the manifest. That's just another, check. Those both parties are submitting the same information.
So there's a few questions in here that are kind of asking about, future state, future integrations. We hear your questions. We're going to have a log of this chat. We can follow up separately if you'd like. We're going to skip over some of the questions about sort of future state, just because we really wanted to highlight the forms themselves. So yeah, we're just going to have to save those for offline. Let's see, multi-packs include multiple process lots under one registration number. How should that be handled?
Yeah, that's something that for multi-packs that have multiple process lots, we'll have to come up with some specific guidance for that.
If a cultivator does not initiate a transfer, what is expected of the retailer to complete the acquisition?
Say that again, if the cultivator doesn't do a transfer?
If the cultivator does not initiate a transfer, what is expected of the retailer to complete the acquisition?
Well, they'll need there's no way to initiate an acquisition without a transfer first being started. So they'll have to reach out to their supplier to make sure that the transfer is completed. And if they're unsuccessful, I would, reach out to your compliance agent and we can have a discussion with the cultivator or whoever's supplying the material from. All right, cool.
Let's resume.
Yes. So we're going to jump back in and we are going to just do another transfer. It's going to be from the same cultivator. We're just going to do it to a manufacturer. And then we'll jump into some of the manufacturing forms. So again, we're just going to go to our create new inventory tracking report and hit the transfer button. Again, we're selecting our cultivation license. So I'm transferring plant material to a manufacturer, and our manufacturer is Manu 0123. I'm just typing 123. Select that again. Important step, just verify that this is correct. So it's going to the right licensee and hit next. And now we're going to answer the question about whether or not the product is registered. It is going to a manufacturer. So we're going to send both unregistered biomass and then unregistered flower. So we'll have a few different pathways that these are going to go down. So we're going to select no. And then we're going to select biomass. And remember, we had a lot that we had established to use for biomass, and that is going to be 4-7-B. So it's B for biomass, but like every cultivators can have their own naming convention. And now I'm going to put in this, we're just going to call it CCB test biomass just for today, but you would want to put in a description that will reflect the product that you're sending to the manufacturer. Data transfer we'll just use today, and the weight in grams. Gosh, what did we select? How much were we going to send? We'll send a whole bunch. Let's see, 10,000 grams. And then cost per gram. Again, this is for just demonstration. We'll just do a price there and hit submit. So we have our biomass here. It's not registered. We're going to add another product. This is also unregistered flower. So we're going to pick flower, and then our process lot field shows up, and we were going to pick that flower process lot that we have created for this demonstration. And this again is that CCB test flower. All right, so we have the product name. The data transfer will be today again. Total weight is just going to be, we'll do 500 grams, cost per gram, say 5. And we'll hit that attestation button and hit submit. Okay, so we'll see that we have our 2 products. They're both unregistered, the biomass and flour. This is going to a manufacturer, and I can use the edit buttons if I wanted to. And say, oh, this is actually 600 grams. Just to make a quick change, hit save and next. And this is where we upload the copy of the manifest. We do that and hit submit. Okay, so right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as the manufacturer. And we're going to do that acquisition report. So I'm just I gotta plug real quickly and just to log out. And then we're gonna log into our manufacturer. Okay, so now we're logged in as a manufacturer. It's manufacturer 0123. Okay, so again, we're going to do our acquisition. I would have gotten the email that we saw previously. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do the acquisition report. I'm going to go to acquisition. And I have that transfer ID ready to go. I pasted it, and it shows up there. So we've got that. I see it's from Cultivators 366. This is me, menu 123. I like that. I hit next. And this is the products we have. They're not registered, and it's not a manufactured product. So these fields will be blank. But I do see the process lot number. So we've got that biomass and the flour. I want to verify those quantities and the details of those. And then do that again for the other product. And again, as Liz demonstrated before, you've got to hit that update details button for each line on that report. And once you've done that, hit save and next, and attach copy of the manifest that you received for that transfer. So I've done the acquisition report of the flour and the biomass. And now we're going to go through some of the manufacturing forms. So for today, we're going to do just the process of reporting the manufacture of like a bulk distillate. And then we'll do an edible, and we'll do a non-registered tincture. So this is like a bulk tincture. And then we're going to demonstrate the packaging only functionality that we'll see in the manufacturing report. And then we'll do an infused product. We'll do an infused pre-roll. There are videos for the other products for vapes and doing registered tinctures and topicals. Those are all in the video series. We're going to kind of skip over a few today just to get through some of these processes. So what I'll do is I'm going to click on Create New Inventory Tracking Report and go to our manufacturing reporting button. So we see the other options, but we're going to select Manufacturer Reporting, select the license, and we should only have one manufacturer license, and click on Next. After we confirm that. Okay, so now we're in our manufacturer lot information. And just the important parts of this form, or this page of the form, is we're putting in our dates of production, and we're going to put in what we are starting with. So what are our inputs to this manufacturing? Is when you hit the pull down menu, you see that we have the plant material option, we have concentrate extract, we have plant material and concentrate extract in only packaging. So we'll go through all of these options today. So plant material is taking your plant material and creating concentrate or extract. When I select concentrate and extract option here, that's creating another product from an existing concentrate or extract. So that would be we'll show that using our distillate that we're going to make to create an edible and to create the tincture. And then plant material and concentrate extract, that's for our infused products. So when we're taking plant material, so like smokable flower and another concentrator extract. And for today's demonstration, we're going to just do distillate. So we're going to infuse plant material with distillate. And so that's where you would select this plant material and concentrate option here. And then we have only packaging. Only packaging is really for the packaging of bulk product to a registered product. So this is sometimes would be applicable to a lot of the white labeling or co-packing that happens where I'm a manufacturer, I've made a whole bunch of gummies, but I've shipped the gummies to another manufacturer or to a wholesaler for packaging. So they have a lot number, they just need to go into a package as a registered product. And we'll demonstrate how that works as well. So what we're going to do first is we're going to select plant material, and we're going to select our dates of production. And this can be, it could be a couple days, or it could be one day, or it could be, several weeks, depending on your process. And you're always going to be able to go back in and make changes to this report, as just making sure that you reference the inventory tracking ID that is created once the report is submitted. So it's really a kind of a good tip is to really keep track of your inventory tracking records and tie them to your manufacturing lots. You can do that in the system, but it will make a lot of sense to have this in your own record so that you can track these inventory tracking records down to your own records. So we're just going to pick these dates here. Let's pick just a one-day thing, though it's not typically a one-day transaction. And this manufacturer lot number here, so there's a little help text here. So this is how the number will be generated. So it's going to be ML-manu, which will be our license number. And then whatever we put in here. So this is the whatever we put in here box. So this is the manufacturer lot that we are creating for this. We're going to make a distillate product. So for this product, we are going to call this, let's see, 040925-D1. And what I've done that is I just select today's date as a way to track internally here for our own production. And the D1 is just the product that we're making. So a lot of manufacturers already have existing naming conventions that they're using. I mean, this is a way to allow any licensee to kind of throw in the lot numbers that they're creating on their own. Again, like similarly to harvest process lot, these manufacturer lot numbers and manufacturer process lot numbers can be really simple, or they can get complex depending on what you are using for your own records. Some licensees have their own inventory tracking software that they're using on the side. So this allows you to use those number conventions as you need to. So I've got the dates, I've got our plant material selected, and that we've created this manufacturer lot number. And I'm going to hit save and next. So because I told the system we're creating this manufacturing report with plant material, the next question is going to ask for what is the plant material process lot that we're putting into this product. And as what we did before is we transferred that biomass. So we're going to take that biomass and do this and use that for this report. So I want to find that biomass process lot, and it shows right here. I could just have typed in the number. So I could type in 4-7-B into the search, and it's going to find it. After a while, there's going to be a lot of process lots in your inventory. So using that search functionality will be helpful. You don't have to put in the whole number. Just, the last few digits, if that's helpful for you to find that, you can just do that. You can do this. The pull down will show you what you have available, but this is just a test account, so we don't have a lot of lots here, but this may work for you as well. So we're going to put in our biomass field, and then we're going to put in our weight. So we're going to put in 10,000 grams here. So our weight of harvest process lot used in grams. So we have 10,000 a test. And so this table shows us our inputs here. So we have the lot, the process lot, and we have the weight. Okay, if we were going to be adding multiple process lots, we would do that here. So this could accommodate process lots that go into that lot of distillate. So if you're taking multiple process lots and using those as your inputs for the end product, you would put in all the process lots, and you're going to need to make sure that all the process lots have been transferred to you, because you'll only be able to report on process lots that have been shared from other licensees. So I have my process lot in. It's only one for this demonstration, and I'm going to hit save and next. And so now we've seen this before. Is our product registered? And we're going to do just a bulk distillate, so this is not registered. So I'll hit no. So when I select no, it's going to ask me the type. I'm going to select concentrate and extract. And the product name, we're going to just call it CCB. Oh boy. Disty. Okay. And so we have the potency value that we're going to put in here. I would say 85%, and the total weight is going to be 2,000. Again, these are just demonstration numbers, so they may not be exactly what would come out of that process. So we're going to just attest to that and hit submit. Again, we have the product details. We can always go back and edit or delete if we needed to. So I hit edit, and we could make a change here if we need to, and hit submit. So once I'm done here, all I have to do is hit save and next. And like some of the other reports, it gives us the option to do some other reporting. But really, this just selecting no here is the clearest pathway to complete the report. So I'm just going to select no, and you'll see me do that mostly through this demonstration today in a test, and hit submit. So once I submit, we'll see in my inventory tracking reports here that I have an inventory tracking record. And I see the product information if I click these arrows. So it shows me the name of the product that I gave it, and it shows me the manufacturer process lot that we just created. So we have the ML manu 0123, and then we have the specific process lot information. I can always go back and make a correction by using this correct button, or if I wanted to just view the report without making any changes, just hit view. So if I wanted to correct, make a date change, I could do that. You cannot change the name of the manufacturer lot. That you would have to create. If you made a mistake in the naming of the lot, you would need to create a new report and then contact your compliance agent to have this report set into draft status so that it can be deleted. Hopefully you won't need to do that often, but something just to note is that this manufacturer lot number, once entered in, cannot be edited. So I can go through if I needed to make a change in here. I can click through. I could change the amount put in. It was 9,500 grams, and hit submit. Save and next. No other changes need to be made here. And again, I still have that same inventory tracking record. So what we're going to do now, so we've demonstrated the creation of that distillate. We're going to use that distillate to create some other products as we move through today. So I'm just going to copy this for my own use next. And then we're going to do create new inventory tracking report. And we go back to that manufacturer reporting, and we select our license. And so now we're going to do an edible, a registered product. It's an edible, and we're going to do the date of production. And since we're doing a lot in this demonstration, that the dates are going to not make sense, but you'll use your own dates because they'll make sense on the correct timeline. So in this case, we're going to select concentrate and extract, and that's going to allow us to reference that process lot of the distillate that we just made. And so for this naming of the manufacturer lot number, we're creating a new product. It's an edible, but we want to try to reference the source material in our naming convention. So I'm going to take that initial lot number that we created for our distillate and just paste that in there and use that as a base for our process, for our lot number for the edible. And I'm just going to add in a dash E1. And that's just going to be our edible one. And, a lot of, I've seen manufacturers have like short abbreviations for their different products and use a date. So whatever naming convention works best for you and allows you to track your own records, we recommend using that when you're creating your manufacturer lot numbers. So we have our date of production. We've indicated that we're using a concentrate extract to manufacture with, and we've created our manufacturer lot number. So I hit save and next. And now the system is going to ask for that manufacturer lot number of the distillate that we created. And I am going to just use that to search, and I select the lot number of that distillate. You want to make sure you select that correct lot number. And then we're going to put in the weight. So when we're making this edible, we're going to put up 100 grams of that distillate that we made, that we reported the manufacturer of, and add that in here. So if you were making an edible and it would contain multiple process lots of a distillate, you're using different lots to create the edible, you would list those out here. You can add in as many of those lot numbers as you need to create that product. In this case, we're just using that one lot of distillate, so we can edit it like anything else. We can select, we can add, we can adjust the weight if we needed to. But we're not going to do that today. We're just going to hit save next. And now we have the question about whether the product is registered. And we said that we're going to be making a registered edible. So I'm going to say yes. And now we want to enter in our product registration number. And for this case, we are making product registration number P-7927. And I just typed those in, and the system found that product. And look at this, it's a Manutest edible. So it has the product name and the product type already are auto-populated, and we cannot edit those. If those are incorrect, we might have chosen the wrong product registration number. You just hit the X here and it'll clear the field out. But we want to use that one. So we're going to type that 7927 back in there, select that. And now it's asking for what are our outputs. So we told it we put in 100 grams in, and what came out. So it's a registered product. So it's looking for packages and total weights per package and weights per serving. So for this case, we did 1,000 packages. And each package has 100 milligrams, and each serving has 5 milligrams. So this could vary depending on the type of product. It could be a beverage where you just have 5 or 10 milligrams total per package. We have different edibles where they have maybe 2 or 2.5 milligrams per serving. So each of those fields, we want to make sure reflect the actual product in the product registration. So once I have that information in here, I'll hit submit. And then I also can edit that. So if I needed to make an adjustment to that, maybe I made a mistake and it was, these were 50 milligram packages or whatever needed to be changed. You could do that here. So hit submit, and then I hit save and next. And again, like we said, we're just going to hit no here, because what that does is just brings us directly to our existing inventory tracking reports. And then you can see that inventory tracking record, this next one, is for the product we just made. It's this Manutest edible, and this is the lot that we created for that product. It's Manu 0123 040925 D1. That's the distillate we use, and this is just the product designation. You could add to that. You could put in a specific date. You could put in something a little bit more specific if there was a flavor, or depending on how you track your records. We really want to make this flexible so that you can kind of insert your own convention for those manufacturer lot numbers. So we've done that. So now we're going to do a different product, and we're going to do a little bit different pathway. This is for non-registered products. So we're going to go to create. We're going to hit create new inventory tracking reports and go back to our manufacturer reporting button. And we're going to select our license again.
And did you want to just define real quick for everyone on what an example of an unregistered product would be in this scenario?
Yeah, so right now we're going to do an unregistered tincture. So this is, imagine that I'm a manufacturer and I just made a bulk vat or a bucket of tincture that I'm going to sell to another licensee, another manufacturer that's going to package it. They may package it under different labels that would be different product registration numbers. We see this for vape cartridges. We see this for edibles. It's the same product, but they're sold under different products, under different product packaging, under different labels. So this would be, so it's really for just the production of a product that's not associated with a registered label and packaging combination yet. And we'll go through that process after we create this bulk tincture. What we're going to do is we're just going to select our dates of the production. And like we said before, this could be any kind of date range that reflects the production of this lot. And that can always be adjusted. So if you have one batch one day and you have another batch, a week later, and it's all the same lot, it all comes from the same source material, you'll be able to edit this report so it reflects the entire production record. So for this one, we are going to select that concentrate and extract again, and we're going to create a manufacturer lot. So we're going to use that same distillates. We're going to reference that again, but in this case, instead of, we're going to designate it with our tincture product. So we're going to give it a T1. We're going to call it T1. That's just our own kind of, for demonstration purposes, we're going to use that, but you want to use a system that works for you and your own record keeping. So once I have that filled out, I'll hit save and next. And we're going to put in the lot number. And we're using that trusty distillate again. And now the system's going to want to know how much of that distillate did we use to make this tincture? And we are going to put in 600 grams. That product. I'll hit submit. And now we have and if we, again, like the other product, we could add in multiple process lots. If you are blending to create a product, you would do it here. You put in all the manufacturer lots of the concentrate extract, and you would put them in this table by just clicking add. Again, we said we're making an unregistered product, so we want to make sure we hit no here. And we want to provide the details of that unregistered product. So we're making a tincture. And the product name, we're just going to call it CCB bulk tincture. Look at that. Okay. And now for bulk products, it's going to ask for bulk tinctures, particularly, we're going to have the volume of the tincture and the weight of THC per milligram, or THC per milliliter. So it's going to be a milligrams per milliliter is the unit for that. So for this example, we're doing 30,000 milliliters. Sure, I got an extra zero there. And our weight of THC per milliliter is going to be 20. So that would be 20 milligrams per milliliter. And we see that concentration a bit for, some of the 0.25 milliliters having a 5 milligram dose. So whatever the tincture is, the bulk tincture, just put in the volume and then the concentration, the milligrams per milliliter. Test to that, hit submit. Again, I can edit that if I needed to, get the math wrong, always go back and make a change. Hit save and next. And then we've created that bulk tincture. And we'll see that in our existing inventory tracking report. So we have this product name is the bulk tincture. And this is the lot number that we assigned to that bulk tincture. So now we're going to go and demonstrate that packaging of the unregistered product and using that packaging only choice. So we're going to go to manufacturer reporting again, put in our license number, and we're going to put in our dates. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to select only packaging. And when I do that, this process, this manufacturing lot number, that field is going to go away because we're not creating a new manufacturer lot. We're going to be referencing it in our reporting. So we're going to hit only packaging, and you'll see that that process lot field went away. And so when we hit save and next, and now we're going to, so it's for packaging of registered products. This only works for packaging of registered products. So we want to put in our product registration number. And in this case, it is 7928. And we'll see that this is the product type is a tincture, and the product name is ManuTest Tincture. And this came in from the product registration process for this particular product, 7928. And then we'll see the fields that we need to fill in are the number of packages, the weight of THC per package, and the date of packaging. So we'll see that we also need to put in the manufacturer lot. And so that's just the lot that we created of that bulk tincture. And we'll see that the system will find it. So I select that lot. And again, if I need to make a change, I can just hit this X button and it will remove that field. It'll allow you to put in a different value or to search for a different value. So this is the lot number for that bulk tincture, and I'm reporting the packaging of that as this product, this ManuTest Tincture. So once I've identified the product and the lot number, I can put in the number of packages, and we're going to do 1,000 packages. Weight of THC per package, 600 milligrams. We have the units there is in milligrams, and then the date of packaging. Once that's completed, you attest and hit submit. And then you can make any edits you needed to there. If not, you can just hit submit, hit save and next, and then no on these. So that kind of goes over the packaging only option, and that, you could use that for bulk gummies, bulk tincture, any kind of bulk product that you're getting repackaged as a registered product. So we're getting close to the end. I know we want to allow for a few minutes of questions. So we have one more section to review. So thanks for hanging in there. It is a lot, but these are all these different versions of these videos are available online. Plus this will be recorded and Patrick will post it on our YouTube channel. And then I don't know if we showed that earlier, but our YouTube channel does have different playlists in it now. So it's it's organized with the board meetings, peer networking events, some other series that we've had with municipalities, and this inventory tracking training. So you want to the videos related to today will be here, as well as today's recording will be in that peer networking events folder in YouTube. So now we're going to do the manufacturer reporting of an infused pre-roll. We're seeing a lot more of these on the market. So we want to make sure we show that to folks here today. And so we're going to do that create new inventory tracking report. And we go to manufacturer reporting. We select our license. Next. Again, we're going to select our dates of production. And now we're going to select this plant material and concentrate extract option. So this is going to require us to put in both a harvest process slot and a manufacturing process slot in this reporting. And for this case, we are going to name this product referencing our distillate. So I'm going to put in the 04, put in our distillate 51, and then we're gonna use a product designation. We're gonna call this, we are going to call this,
IPF1.
yeah, it's not on there.
My fault.
No, use pre-roll 1. That's just a simple product, a way to designate this product. I'm sorry. So we have our manufacturer process lot entered in. So each of this infused product that we're creating here is going to fall under this manufacturer lot number. And this is the lot number that we're creating is the manufacturer lot number that is required to be on the packaging. So we're going to hit save and next. And then we're going to put in our process lots. You'll see this is looking for a harvest lot, or harvest process lot. And so for this harvest process lot, we're going to put in that flour lot again. So I'm just going to select that. And our weight for that, we're going to do 100 grams. We're going to do 100 of, we're going to report the manufacturing of 100 of these infused pre-rolls. So I'm going to do 100 grams of flour in and hit submit. And again, you could put in multiple process lots of that flour material. We're just having one in this case. We're just going to hit save and next. And now we need to add in a manufacturer process lot. So I'm going to hit add, and we're going to put in the manufacturer process lot for the distillate that we've been using. And this is the distillate that ends in all right.
D1.
D1, yeah. Thank you, Liz. It's this one here. So we have that, and the weight that we're putting in to that is 25 grams. So we're going to put in each of those 100 infused pre-rolls, we're going to put in 0.25 grams of that distillate. So we have that here. We could put in multiple lots if we needed to by just hitting the add button, but we're not. So we're going to hit save and next. And now we want to put in we have the question about whether it's registered or not. So you could report an unregistered infused pre-roll. But in this case, we're going to report the manufacturing of a registered infused pre-roll. And we have that as product registration 7926. So I select that, and you'll see that the product name Manutest infused pre-roll is pre-populated, and the product type infused pre-roll is already entered for us, and we can't change those. And the question of product registration is also populated. So now we're just going to put in our number of packages that we created, and we said we're going to make 100. We do need a potency value for these products, and for this case, it's 42% THC. And then the total weight. So each package is going to have 1.25 grams of infused product. So that will vary depending on your manufacturing process and what the product is. And you just want to make sure you have those records available. I hit the attestation checkbox and I hit submit. And we see the product here. I can always go back and edit if we needed to. If we did another batch and need of the same product, the same lots, we would just add that quantity in here. Hit submit, save and next. And again, we're going to select out there. We hit submit. And then we have our report here. We'll see the product name. We have the manufacturer lot or the process lot that went into that product. If you needed to go in and make a correction, you have that correct value there to use if needed. I think that's all we wanted to cover. The videos do cover the transfer report for manufactured product. So just direct folks to those videos. And we do have the video for manufacturer reporting that reviews the process for vape cartridges, topicals, registered tincture. So we have the videos that cover both the registered versions of the products and the unregistered products. So Definitely encourage folks to go and watch those videos. And if you have specific questions, you can, feel free to reach out to your compliance agent. If they can't answer the question, they'll find whoever can help at the board with those questions. So Patrick, if we want to just spend a few minutes with any questions that have come up.
Yep. So I'll start by working my way through the questions from the chat. We have a lot, and then we'll do questions a couple different ways. I'm going to start by just catching up on the chat, and then you can also raise your hand, and we'll get to the questions that way. So going back in time here. With these new changes, are businesses with multiple licenses required to have separate portal accounts for each license to receive and transfer from?
Yeah. So right now there is you'll need to have a separate account to do the transfer and acquisition reports if you have multiple licenses. So the example is doing transfers from cultivation to manufacturing under the same business ownership. It'll need to be a different login for doing those two activities. If you need to create a new account, if you're a smaller, we have a few licensees where it's like one person that does cultivation and has a small manufacturing license. You will need to create like a separate account login to do that, and we can reach out to the licensing email to get help with setting up a new account if you need to do that. That is something that we are hoping to have fixed in the long run, because we do realize it's kind of a little bit clunky, but for now, you will have to have a separate login for doing the transfer and the acquisition.
Next question, just kind of a general question. How do you define a manufacturing lot? This must have been when you were first entering.
So there's the manufacturing lot for like we have the distillate where we have the lot that we created, that one lot of distillate from that lot of plant material. That would be one manufacturer lot. If you have another product that's being made from that distillate, you could call that a process lot. And you could designate that referencing your original lot of distillate. And that's what we did here, where we used I'm not sharing. We created this tincture here, and let's see. This tincture here, we created that. This was our base. This is referencing that distillate, and this is the specific process lot identifier. But the system is built out to allow you to have your own naming convention, so that you may have different format on how you're organizing your lot numbers.
If a retailer sends flower to a manufacturer to make pre-rolls, should they then be initiating a transfer form?
So if you're a retailer and you're sending plant material to a manufacturer for to make just pre-roll, like regular uninfused pre-rolls, the retailer will do the transfer report, but and then the manufacturer will do an acquisition report. The manufacturer will do the pre-roll manufacturing, and it's in that case when a manufacturer is just making pre-rolls, they're not changing the form of the flower, so there's no manufacturer reported for traditional pre-rolls that are not infused. It's just a transfer of that plant material back. So you have the original transfer from retailer or cultivator, say, to a manufacturer. You're reporting the weight of that flower or plant material over to the manufacturer, and then the manufacturer is going to report the transfer back to the retailer of those pre-rolls as just weight of plant material. So if I'm a there's going to be some waste or loss involved in that manufacturing process. So for round numbers, if I'm a cultivator, I send 600 grams of flower to a manufacturer and they make 500 1 gram pre-rolls, then there's 100 grams of waste in there somewhere that will need to be accounted for. So that waste can be transferred back to the cultivator, or the manufacturer can log that as their own waste. But the manufacturer will transfer that 500 grams of plant material, the flower, as pre-rolls back to the retailer. So it's a transfer to and back for that process.
This is another question about retailers getting into situations where the IT number does not come up on delivery. So the situation here is they've had several deliveries where they've not been able to file the acquisition report. So I think we got into this a little bit. It sounds like maybe
if they're older ones, they may not be like the system had an update last month. So if they're older inventory tracking reports, those may need to be reset by the cultivator to the retailer.
Is the system going to continue to show every lot number forever in the drop down? So that was kind of the auto populate.
Yeah, so it'll show all of them, but once you start entering in a portion of that lot, it'll filter out to only the lots that match. So when I use the let me go into
Sure.
Oh yeah, let me go into that real quick. So when I created the edible, I'm just going to go in. When I search for all these, right? Like, yeah, these are all going to be there. But if I just wanted the one from today, I would just type in, 0309. It's 04. Wrong month.
L155.
Yeah. And then, so that will filter just the lots that have those digits in it. So yeah, they'll all show up when you click in, but you'll be able to quickly filter it out to make that list a little bit less daunting,
Can you just talk quickly about where samples are tracked?
Yeah, samples are tracked in loss reports. And we weren't going to cover loss reporting today, but we're due to do a demo video, so that'll be up, shortly. But yeah, samples, whether it's employee samples or vendor samples, those all get tracked in the loss report.
Yeah, that sounds like a good demo video we can do later on.
Yep.
So look for that. Is there a way to do bulk uploads for manufacturing reporting? So they're saying this seemed like it would take a long time doing more than a couple production runs in a day. So
yeah, our team at the Agency of Digital Services, ADS, they are working on updating our API documentation and system to help with some of our larger licensees that are already have their own internal tracking systems to be able to automatically report. So that's coming down the line. It's not quite ready yet, and I know we've got folks working on it like today. So stay tuned for that for sure. And that would also include transfer and acquisition reporting too.
all right, we're working our way down the list. As a small manufacturer, there may be weeks when nothing is processed, or manufacturers required to submit reporting weekly or biweekly, similar to cultivators.
No, you're only going to report as you have product to report, as you have manufacturing activities to report.
How do you handle transfers between companies that do not match data? don't know.
Yeah, so that's like it. Well, so I'm guessing this is if I had an acquisition report to complete and whatever the transferring party entered in, say when I go into my report, it says 400 grams, but I actually received 500 grams. There's a discrepancy. You'll want to make the edit on the acquisition reform to what you actually received, and then contact the other licensee to make sure that they also correct their report as well. If you cannot resolve that, you may need to reference your manifests and have a discussion if there is an issue with if there's a concern about compliance with that, reach out to your compliance agent to be able to talk through that specific case.
All right, this is a very detailed question that I'm going to read verbatim to make sure I get all of it right. So for manufacturing with infusions, for example, you'll have a cultivation process lot from the flower to input, and then also a manu process lot from the hash created going into the infusion.
Yeah.
In the process lot section, are you able to add in the underlying manufacturing process lot for the hash as well, or just the flower to account for the makeup of the infusion?
Yeah, so you enter those in separately. We just did that.
That was the last demo he did.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe that's been
Yeah, so
answered here.
you enter in the flour, the process lot for the plant material, the flour that went in separately with the weight. So we did 100 grams of the flour, and we added the process lot for that distillate. We did 25 grams, and then we reported the number of products out of that.
I'm going to summarize a bunch of questions, but there were a number of questions and some discussion even about when a transfer is entered and having a manifest upload, like a signed manifest or just a manifest. So it seems like maybe there's a difference in how certain people do it. Do you have any guidance on when the transfer should be entered?
I would have to refer. I believe the rule does have some specific to that. I think we're going to need to kind of dial in as a group to see what the expectation is. But it will be important to do those, within a day or two, just so that your receiving party is able to use those lots in their own reporting. But yeah, I think we can maybe as a follow-up reference the rule and make sure that we're providing guidance that's helps folks stay compliant with that.
Okay. How do we transfer things from before the system was implemented?
The before times. Yeah, I think so. There's a couple ways that we for transferring plant material from cultivators to retailers, there's no expectation to go back to do any transfer reporting. Where we're going to run into issues with where we have manufacturers who have plant material in their possession that was not appropriately entered into a transfer report or not entered into a transfer report. And there's a couple pathways to resolve that. One is to have the cultivator do a transfer report after the fact, and so that those lots are in the manufacturer's inventory. Or we have provided specific guidance to manufacturers to request from the CCB a temporary generic process lot that would be used to do their own manufacturer reporting in the case where they don't have a harvest process lot in there that has been shared with them through a transfer report for plant material that was received essentially prior to today or the beginning of this month. So moving forward, we expect that transfer reports will be completed, but for manufacturers that have distillate currently or extract currently that they need to do manufacturing reporting on, they can create those manufacturer lots with that generic temporary process lot in order to get their reporting moving forward. And there were specific directions sent out to all the manufacturers I believe, earlier this week or late last week. So if you didn't receive that email and you are a manufacturer, you can reach out to the CCB email, and we can get you that information.
All right, working my way down here. Can you create a log of known bugs so we can know about when and where to troubleshoot? That could cause major problems for people if we can't submit reports. I think in general, if there are problems that are going to impact people's ability to enter reports, we'll certainly have, widespread communications that make that very, very plain.
Yeah.
Would gummies from one lot of distillate be one lot, or are they multiple lots when they're made?
If they're all made from the same source material, you would designate them as the same manufacturer lot.
Could all guidance docs and videos be added to the inventory tracking page of the CCB website? Yes, that's a great idea. We are going to update that page with all of this once we're kind of waiting to get through this meeting. But okay, what is the turnaround time on getting a temporary inventory tracking number once it's requested?
It's pretty fast. Same day.
During normal work hours.
Yeah.
business
Yeah.
hours, not Saturday. Okay, I think we answered that one about predating the before times. Sorry, I'm now at the point where I'm reading these live, so give me a moment. So just on the temporary lots, in 3 months, we won't be able to use the temporary tracking number. That's true. But I will still have concentrates that weren't tracked in the system from 2024. What do I do then?
So you want to, between now and over the next couple of months, you'll want to get your manufacturer lots created in the system. I think that's why we designated the next 3 months to get that kind of legwork in the system between now and then.
Should we be reporting when we create vape oil from distillate, mixing terpenes and distillate, or would we only do a manufacturing report when we fill the cartridges?
Can you say that again?
So the question is, would they report when they create the vape oil, like mixing terpenes and distillate, or would they only do the manufacturing report when they fill the cartridges?
It depends on your process. If you're taking distillate and then you're like adding terpenes and then filling carts, you would report once you have those carts filled. You would be doing that as a registered product. I don't know. I think it depends. Once it's in the cartridge, you can report the manufacturing of unregistered cartridges, and we have some manufacturers that make it's essentially the same cartridge under different labels. They could manufacture as a bulk cartridge and then designate those individual packages through that packaging only option. But if it's just one, I mean, if you're creating like a distillate cart and that's the only thing that you're doing with that distillate, I mean, that would be one report. That if I don't know if that was not a satisfactory answer, reach out to Patrick and we can follow up.
Yeah.
I don't. It would be helpful to have some details.
Yeah. It sounds like it sounds like if we need to get more specific to answer,
yeah,
you
some
can
of these
reach out.
are hard without knowing all the details. But
if we have to resend a transfer that is no longer recognized in the system for the manufacturer, can we request for those original transfers to be deleted?
I don't think there'll be a need to delete them. If you have to re-report them, then there wasn't enough information that went into the system, so there's nothing that's gonna kind of there won't be any confusion on that. I would say don't worry about deleting old reports. If you need to resubmit them, you'll be okay.
Is there a inventory flow chart available? That's a great idea. We'll add it to our list of things to make. Let's see. We are currently using concentrates that were transferred and received, but do not have a process lot using the new system. We cannot make process lots for our products without being able to reference the concentrates used, which are not in the system. Is there a workaround?
Yeah, so if you purchase those from another licensee, from another manufacturer, you just have to reach out to that manufacturer so that they can create those in the system, and then they can then transfer that to you. It's a little bit of back legwork. We understand that, but I think that's why we're giving, we have some, we're working on trying to be a little as flexible as possible over the next couple months so that people have time to catch up, and then hopefully, summer will turn around and everybody will be caught up, and those won't be as issues. But yeah, it will require some back reporting. If you're having issues, if you have like concentrate extract that you're trying to do your own reporting on from a licensee that doesn't exist anymore, that's out of business, please contact us directly and we can work with you on how to move forward with that.
I think we want a follow-up question related to the temporary process lots is, after the 3 months, what do we do? I think, Andy's response before is, in these 3 months, just do your best to get caught up on your manufacturing lots. And
you should be able to create the manufacturing lots that you'll need for reporting. Those manufacturing lots that you're creating now and over the next 3 months, those will live on. That they're not going to go away. We're just asking that those temporary lots of plant material that you're using for reporting aren't used after 3 months, because we expect 3 months is sufficient time to get caught up. And then really anything coming in now will have the necessary process lots through transfer reporting.
There's a follow-up question about a response that we gave about process lots and manufacturing lots. So the question is, if I make a batch today and next month, but it's from the same batch of distillate, I can call them the same process lot? ?
Yeah, and that's where you would reference that inventory tracking ID, go into that report and make a correction so it reflects your total output for that lot. So if you first reported the manufacturing of 1,000 gummies, but you made another batch and now you have 2,000 gummies, you got to go in, edit the amount of concentrate and extract that went in, and edit the number of packages or whatever it's registered or not, the output. So they'll have that existing lot number. You'll just make edits to that report so it reflects your actual production values.
There's a question in here I just want to address quickly. Someone's saying they requested a temporary process lot and didn't receive anything. Just email ccb.info@vermont and we'll make sure that gets forwarded to the right place.
It would have been done just through a regular transfer, so you would receive an email through the email account that's tied to your account in the portal. So it may not have gone directly to the person that submitted that report. It would go into the email that's tied to the inventory tracking system. So like Patrick said, you can email us and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, we'll sort it out. I don't know if we want to answer this, but is the state going to work with third-party companies like BioTrack or integrated inventory tracking moving forward?
Yeah, that's what when we reference, making updates to the API. It's currently being done to accommodate for the manufacturing reporting and the acquisition and transfer report forms. That's the goal.
Michelle, there's a lot of very specific questions here. I encourage you to email compliance about some of these. It sounds like maybe we can have a meeting or an offline conversation. That's just in the interest of time. I don't want to get too into specifics here. I'm a wholesaler who sends flour to a manufacturer to make our pre-rolls. I'm still unclear about when to create a transfer report in the system. After I fill out the acquisition report from the cultivator, and then before I bring it to manufacturing?
Question mark. The first part again.
Yeah, so they make they're a wholesaler who
Yeah.
sends flour to a manufacturer to make pre-rolls. And they're unclear about when to create a transfer report in the system.
So you're gonna create the transfer report when you transfer it to the manufacturer to make the pre-rolls. So if you're a wholesaler and just hypothetically, this is the situation where you have a cultivator that's transferred the flour to you. So you're going to submit the acquisition report for that transfer, and then you're going to enter in a transfer report when you transfer it to the manufacturer. The manufacturer will then make the pre-rolls, and then they're going to report the transfer of those pre-rolls to wherever it goes to. If it goes back to the wholesaler, they'll report it to the wholesaler. So anytime the product moves from one license to another, there needs to be a transfer and acquisition report created.
There's a question here about could a search field be created for existing tracking reports to allow us to search by issuance ID?
We can look at that, of
Okay.
course.
Another question here about testing for manufacturing lots. So the testing requirements are detailed in separate guidance that's in the product labeling and product registration guidance on the CCB website. There is a matrix that kind of details testing requirements. I encourage folks to check that. There have been multiple questions. I think we've answered it, but since we're sort of at the end here, people keep asking about why we're breaking down costs by milligrams instead of the whole package. I know you mentioned this before. It's a sort of standard measurement that can be used across product types, right? So,
yeah, and we have product that comes in different sizes. So like even for like edibles, we have products that have 100 milligrams of THC. We have products that have 10 milligrams of THC. So we want to know like what is that breakdown of milligram cost per milligram.
This is a good question, AJ. Thanks. For companies currently using an integrated API like BioTrack, what should we do during this transition? I think the answer is do the reporting in these forms, and we'll of course have broad communications if there's ever a working integration. But that's very much a future state, and we can't make any predictions on when that would happen. But for now, continue to enter all of your inventory in these forms.
Yep. And we'll be engaging with all the known platforms that are working with integration, and we'll communicate once we have updated documentation to provide to them so that they can make updates to your systems.
Okay, I have caught up in the chat. There was a lot of chat, so if we missed anything, I sincerely apologize. I really mean it. There's a lot happening during the meeting that I think we kind of got to, but I am human, so I might have missed them. If you have a burning question that I missed, just email ccb.info@vermont.gov, and we'll make sure we get it. We have a chat log that we'll check as well. Any other folks that had a question, you can raise your hand. Seeing one more in the chat here. I'm gonna take this last one offline. Any other last questions? All right, thank you all for joining. I know this is a long one and a ton of information. You can always replay it if you wanted it in a slower form. Maybe YouTube has 0.75 speed. Thanks again for taking the time, and email any other questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing it.